and I took Lake City by quote-unquote $1 billion in the play-in game.
On the North Idaho Prepcast, we're all about that North Idaho life.
Man, you talk about Wallace and what they've been able to do this year. Quietly just being, the steady stalwart up north in District 1. They've been dominant.
From Bonners Ferry all the way down to Grangeville, we tackle the biggest stories in North Idaho sports.
This Genesee team is for real. We know we saw it last year. They're I think in the driver's seat to repeat.
It's the North Idaho Prepcast with Ryan Scaggs. Well, hello. Yes, welcome in. It is another edition of the North Idaho Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com, where we talk all about the District 1 and 2 athletics and activities, the big stories happening in North Idaho week in, week out here on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X account. That is where we are broadcasting live here at 10:14 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, Wednesday, November 13th. But of course, you can watch this anytime on replay at the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, X account, or Facebook page. You can also listen to the North Idaho Prepcast at IdahoSports.com. All of our Prepcasts are directly on the left side of the homepage, or wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, etc. So, my name is Brandon Baney. Let's bring in our North Idaho resident and expert, Ryan Scaggs. Hey, what's up, Scaggs?
What's going on? Getting my coffee in.
Yeah, so this is kind of the tradition that you do when we put you on camera. You always, whatever beverage you happen to be drinking, you kind of put it up for a sip on camera. Funny story about that. So Friday night, I was in the Kibbe Dome for that 8-man doubleheader between Logos and Grace, and then followed by Kendrick and Kamei. And in between games, a gentleman from Kendrick came up to the booth. Did you know this was coming?
I didn't know this was. I mean, he mentioned it when I did the potlatch game, and I didn't know he was actually going to deliver or not. So I'm excited to know about this. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
We've got new mugs to drink out of here.
I love it. That is awesome.
Kendrick Tiger. So I'm using mine today. I will bring yours to you this week when we get our gear situation sorted out for the games we're doing.
Well, that's awesome. And thank you to them. He was like, I see you drinking from these most random coffee mugs I've ever seen. And then he's like, but you never have a Kendrick one, so we're going to get you a Kendrick one. And I'm like, bring it. I'll use it. So that's awesome. I'm a coffee mug collector, so I'm the aficionado of coffee mugs. So I appreciate that. And thank you very much for the swag. We're always... Paul always brags about the hats he gets, but I think we get cooler stuff up here. So,
yeah, that's for sure. And I like that it's a travel one that you can take on the road with you as well. So, I mean, we get like the custom made items. Like, oh yeah, okay, Paul gets hats and sometimes T-shirts, but like we got coffee mugs. We got Jeremiah Why Not, Case Why Not's dad. Got us specially made Lapway / Utah State hoodies. It had both logos on there. That was back when Case was still playing. So I mean, we get all sorts of cool stuff. That's not why we do this, right? But it is nice every once in a while. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I need I got those little figurines. I don't know if you see them back here. When I was a kid, I used to collect all of these guys. So I've got like Bo Jackson, Nolan Ryan, and Troy Aikman. And I need to figure out how I can get one of those made of us. That would be pretty awesome.
There is a guy in Montana, Great Falls, Montana, who custom makes little sports action figures like that. Now, it takes him a really long time to do one, and the waiting list is long, but
I'm sure.
I don't know if he's ever done a broadcaster before. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, just get one of us sitting there in a chair with a microphone or something like that would be kind of neat. So
yeah, he does custom.
I don't know where it went. I had a Dave Niehaus bobblehead from way back in the day too when he did the Mariners stuff, and I don't know where that went, but yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And of course, you can see behind me, I've got all sorts of sports memorabilia as well up on the top shelf. You can see them all kind of stacked vertically. Top left corner, this corner right here. That's all those little starting lineup guys like you were talking about.
Oh, those are awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I got a ton from my uncle after he passed away. A lot of hockey guys, but some cool ones in there too. But anyways, okay. Well, now that show and tell is over, we can get to the activity that happened this past week. The big story was the state swim meet down at the YMCA there in Boise. And we said kind of the storylines going in were, okay, Lake City girls have won the last 2 titles. Could they make it 3 in a row? They couldn't. They fall just short, take second to Bishop Kelly, which no shame there. The other storyline we said is with Bishop Kelly moving up to the 6A level in swimming, 5A is kind of wide open. Like there's any number of teams that could kind of step in and take this thing. We thought maybe Twin Falls or Idaho Falls or Skyview possibly, but Sandpoint earns the sweep, Ryan. Boys swimming title, girls swimming title. Congratulations to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, no, great season from them. And, it was cool. I mean, great season. We'll give kudos also to Max Oswald for covering them as well, because he's put in a ton of work covering those 2 teams. And it was awesome. I mean, you talk about going down there to state and cleaning the house the way they did in the meets. And, Ava DeLu getting the repeat title, which was awesome. She finished second in the 200 freestyle, second in the 500 free with a school record of 5:23.81. And then anchoring the state championship relays in those 200 and 400 freestyles. She held on for that 0.37 second victory over Idaho Falls in that 200 free relay, which was awesome. So, I mean, exciting day in the pool for both programs. And I know that they're excited, the boys winning the 200 medley and 200 free, breaking school records in those events. And there's just a ton of great kids in the pool on both sides for boys and girls, and for Sandpoint to sweep the championships is a huge accomplishment, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, really cool deal. Max Oswald had fantastic coverage all weekend long of the prelims on Friday and then the finals on Saturday. So Sandpoint overall breaks 3 school records. They take home 4 gold medals in the relays, and they both win the team title. First championship for Sandpoint boys swimming. Now, this is kind of like baseball, this year it's officially an IHSAA sanctioned event. So baseball, whoever wins baseball this year, it'll be the first champion in Idaho history, which we know is bunk because for years the event was run as an unsanctioned event. That's kind of the deal with swimming. Swimming was an unsanctioned event for years and years and years. In 2018, the IHSAA officially started sponsoring it. And so under those terms, since 2018, first title for Sandpoint in school history on the boys side. For the girls, they've been busy. 3rd title already in this officially sanctioned era. 2019, last year, 2023, and now this year, 2024. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Dom, they're building themselves a nice little dynasty up there in Sandpoint on the girls side, which is pretty cool to see. And then the boys side jumping in the mix, and they're going to be good for years to come too. I mean, there's a bunch of solid swimmers coming up through those programs. And, have they climbed the mountain and usurped Lake City as the dominant team in North Idaho in swimming? I know Lake City's at 6A. Lake City's no slouch either, finishing second in 6A, but which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But just to kind of put the feather in the cap for Sandpoint, I mean, the way that they swept and went through things, I mean, they finished not just in close fashion, dominant fashion in the pool on the girls' side. They believe they won by 44 points over Idaho Falls, and that was the next closest team in scoring. So, I mean, a great finish for Sandpoint. Congratulations to them and their state championship, well-deserved. A great program. I mean, they're just run very, very well, and Coach Jackson does a great job with that group, and hats off to the Sandpoint Bulldogs.
Yep, it was a really fun performance. So you kind of mentioned it already. Ava DeLu, she anchored both of the winning 200 and 400 freestyle relays. Sandpoint took home the gold in both of those. The 200 freestyle relay race, she held on. They won by 0.37, 37 100ths of a second over Idaho Falls. So that's
nothing. I mean, that is nothing.
That's a blink of an eye. I mean, not even that. So that was really fun to see. On the boys side for Sandpoint, they win both the 200 medley and 200 freestyle relays as well. They broke school records in both events, which is awesome.
I think that was second off the state record too. That was crazy.
Yes, 0.11 seconds, 11 100ths of a second away from the state 5A record, which is just fantastic. And then you mentioned at the 6A level, we did have the Lake City girls take second to Bishop Kelly. We had some individual champions as well. On the boys' side, Eli Shaw, a pair of sophomores. Eli Shaw of Lake City wins the 100-yard butterfly. Andrew Davis from Coeur d'Alene wins the 200 free. And for Eli Shaw, he's now 2 for 2 in his high school career in that 100-yard butterfly. Won it as a freshman, won it as a sophomore. So keep up the good work.
Absolutely. No, that's an awesome job by the individuals from the 6As. I mean, there's a nice day. I mean, from the north, but obviously it was dominated on the girls' side by BK, and then the boys' side, Boise was just flat. Boise and Mountain View were steamrolling everybody, finishing in that quote unquote first place tie. But Coeur d'Alene showed up well with a 4th place finish in the team score in the 6A side.
Yep. Now, the biggest day for an individual by far was Noah Crossler from Moscow. We talked about how he had set a couple of district records last week at the district meet. He wins 2 individual titles for the Moscow swim team, and he broke a 5A state record as well. He wins the 100-yard butterfly. So we talked about from Lake City, Eli Shaw winning the 100-yard butterfly on the 6A side. Noah Crossler wins it on the 5A side, and he sets a new 5A state record, 51.64 seconds. So that's awesome. And he shattered that record. The previous mark was like 54 something. So he won by more than 3 seconds.
Yeah, the previous state record holder was Jacob Ballard of Sandpoint. He swam that in 52.16, which, I mean, that's a pretty surmountable lead that Noah broke that record by. I mean, that's a full body length. So, I mean, that's flat impressive. Noah had a phenomenal showing at state, and he won the championship in another event as well. So, just a great job by him.
Yeah, so he wins the 100 butterfly, and he also takes the 100 backstroke with a time of 54.98 seconds as well. So way to go, all of our great swimmers. Swimming in North Idaho, I feel like we talked about this last week just to kind of put a bow on it, but the advantages that we have here in North Idaho in terms of facilities simply cannot be overstated. Because where I used to live in East Idaho, I lived in Pocatello for 5 years. The pool, they used to use the pool at Idaho State University, and then COVID happened and they kind of just shut that down and then never reopened it. So the local schools were having to practice outside at a park, basically, that just had a pool. Same thing in Idaho Falls. All they have is kind of the outdoor swimming pools. And so some teams were having to practice at like 10:30 at night in October and November, which is just insane.
That's insane. I mean, you talk about dedication, that's nuts. But I mean, that's one blessing of these communities here in North Idaho is, they've invested into athletics, and upgrading these facilities huge for these area schools and the communities as well. I mean, you got incredible aquatic facilities, and I mean, you can even go down to Worley. I mean, they've got an incredible facility there. And then you got Coeur d'Alene, the Croc Center. Sandpoint's got a great facility. Moscow's got great facilities. Lewiston goes across the river to Clarkston and uses their indoor facility there in the LC Valley. And so, there's a bevy of great places to compete here in North Idaho, and it shows up, at the state level. You're seeing a shift in dominance towards not just the Treasure Valley anymore. North Idaho's definitely thrown their hat in the mix as far as dominance in the pool.
Yeah, really fun season. Congratulations to all of our great swimmers, and we love getting those results. So if you're a swimming coach out there, keep sending them our way, and we'll keep pumping up these incredible swimmers that we have here in North Idaho. All right, let's wrap. I mean, football's really the only other sport going on right now. Yes, there are girls basketball practices. The first official date the teams can play is this Friday, November 15th. It always feels way too early, and I will admit, because I'm only one person, I got to kind of straddle these two worlds where we've got football semifinals and championships and all the other fall swimming and all the other fall sports wrapping up. At the same time, girls basketball is ramping up and ready to go. Our season previews are coming on IdahoSports.com. They always dip into the start of the season. That's just the way it goes. It's going to happen on the boys' side too. But be on the lookout. End of this week, early next week, we'll start putting in the team bios and the previews and all of that great stuff. And my hope is that by the end of November, we will have everything that we need to say about girls basketball in the state of Idaho, complete with preseason coaches polls, players to watch, storylines, all of that great stuff. So yes, girls basketball content is coming on IdahoSports.com, but because we refuse to have standalone winter sports season and it bleeds into fall sports season, it's always impossible to cover everything as it happens right away.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think it slights the competition for the girls of getting some of the notoriety that they deserve. I think they have to, having to split the start of their season with the curtailing of a, fall sports season in football. It's, if things could change down the road and you can shift state to where there's not that 2-week hiatus between girls basketball state and boys basketball state, I'd love to see that change at some point. That's another conversation for another day. But, there's plenty of teams and a lot of promise up north for basketball. We're going to get into it here in the next couple of weeks as we wrap up football. But there's going to be some flat dominant teams that you're going to have to keep your eye on for this upcoming winter sports season in girls basketball.
For sure. And again, I feel like I've said this before. Like, I feel like it's a fairly, nothing is easy, but to me, just looking at it from 1,000 feet, we could easily get rid of a round of football playoffs. There are too many teams that get in. Very rarely does a team that had a sub 500 record, it has to go on the road somewhere. Very rarely does that team win in the opening round of the playoffs. At the 5A level, especially, you're getting like, no disrespect to like a Shelley, but like Shelley didn't belong in the playoffs. They just didn't. Like, they went 3-6. Like let's stop that. Like, let's make it 8. Yeah. 18.
Well, and even that is force everybody to play 0 week. I mean, we called it 0 week. Now it's called week 1, but not everybody plays week 1 now. I mean, just move everybody back. Get rid of, if you got 2 bye weeks, I'm sorry, it's high school sports. Carry the 1 bye week or no bye weeks. I mean, like, if it's really that big of an issue, like with having these seasons kind of intertwine each other, there's an easy scheduling fix that could take place to alleviate that problem. I mean, it's really just, it starts on the front end of the season. You can move things back easily.
I mean, you could even push girls basketball season back ahead 2
or ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I like I've said this a million times. Everyone's tired of hearing about it, but there's not much else to talk about. There's only swimming and football going on. So you're going to get it. All right. I'm the one with the microphone. So you will listen to what I have to say.
My turn to talk. I'm talking now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Excuse me. It's my turn. I'm talking now. Oh my gosh. I'm glad I don't have to listen to that anymore. Okay. Let's.
I love it so much.
Okay. In Montana, they run boys and girls basketball seasons concurrently. They both start the same date. They end essentially the same date, and it works out really well to the point of, if there's a 5A state tournament in Montana, they don't have that. They have like Class A, Class B, Class C. The Class B boys and girls tournaments a lot of times will be held together at the same venue on the same weekend. So if you're a parent,
go 12 miles that way. They do it too. Go, Oregon does it that way. I mean, like, why are we any different? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, because if you're a parent and you have a son and a daughter that both play basketball, it's not that uncommon. You're having to pick and choose. One parent a lot of times will go to girls state while one parent stays home with the boy that's still playing district tournament action. And I hear this argument all the time from some of our colleagues to the south of us. Hey, girls basketball has its own stage, its own spotlight. They're the only championship event happening that week. They'll get overshadowed by boys basketball if they're all on the same weekend. I'm going to call BS on that.
Tournaments up. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. No, exactly. And you can't tell me that there are more people that are going to travel to Boise twice in 3 weeks to watch it. Because, like, let's just say, for example, Sandpoint makes state in boys and girls basketball. Okay. Are those Sandpoint parents and fans going to go to Boise twice in 3 weeks, or are they going to go once and maybe get to see both teams? There are going to be more people that go watch the Sandpoint boys play in a district championship game than there will be to watch the Sandpoint girls at state. And the same thing for East Idaho teams. I know a lot of times those district championship games have attendance through the roof. And so, yeah, when you're wrapped up in the Treasure Valley bubble and travel is not a consideration for anybody, okay, it makes sense there. But overall, I don't know. I hate the split season, and I really hate how girls basketball starts while football is still concluding, because nobody is paying attention to girls basketball. And anyone who says they are is either a really diehard or is lying, because everybody wants to know who's going to win the state football championships. It takes away from what should be celebrated as the start of a season for girls.
Yes. Here's my soapbox moment, is that you look at attendance, right? In girls basketball, boys basketball, you look at championship set. We have so many phenomenal venues now in the state of Idaho. I mean, volleyball, being at the Mountain America Center, I think set the tone that that is a location that can host state primo level competitions. You've got the Idaho Central Credit Union or ICCU, arena in Moscow. That is a phenomenal facility. The P1FCU Activity Center at LCSE, that's a great facility. You've got some great facilities around the state that can host these events where you're going to have hotel space now. If you look at like when state basketball hits those weekends, there's not the college events that are taking place in Moscow anymore that we've seen in the past. They moved the Jazz Festival in Moscow. That's been moved now. That's not going to be an interfering factor. You got more hotels being built in Moscow, more being built in Lewiston, more being built in Clarkston, more being built in Pullman. I mean, it's not, you can't really argue that there's no hotel space up north. I look at this and Washington does it. And as much as I criticize the state of Washington, the fact that they divide their state tournaments up to sites, I absolutely love. I mean, you've got 3A and 4A. You're going west. You're going to be in Tacoma Dome, or you're going to be at Heck Ed at UW. If you're a small school, you're going to be in Yakima. If you're the B schools, you're going to be in Spokane every year. It's split up. They do it, and they do it phenomenally. They have their own venue. They have their own spotlight. The small schools get to play in the big venue every game. I think that is a more meaningful experience for some of these kids than going and playing 3 games in a high school gym just for the chance that you might get to play at 9 o'clock in the morning in the Idaho Center. As much as I love our state and the way we do it, give the kids the big stage, give them the big event, the big venue arena feel. How much, and we know this from the business aspect because we go broadcast 2 different state events when we go down to basketball. We know what the cost is for hotel space for 2 separate weekends if you're making a trip. If you're coming from Bonner's Ferry for a girls tournament and then you have to turn around 2 weeks again and come down for the boys and you're a family, you're going to incur, that's $2,000 in travel just for your family to go to state, because the hotel costs in Boise are through the roof. I mean, you're going to stay, it's going to be $260 a night, and you're going to be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, possibly Saturday if you end up playing in the championship game. That is, I mean, you want to talk about saving and travel, you could send 1 bus for both your teams. Like, there's cost-benefit analysis. I look at, if you split up these events, these districts are going to save more money. The families are going to save more money. It's a win-win for everyone. The kids are going to get the big venue, the big arena venue feel. I don't see really the loss in this. But, I mean, do we end up splitting up state where you're not going to have all 6 classifications in one arena on championship Saturday? Yeah, you will. You will lose that. But you're going to gain. I see the gain being so much more. I really do.
Yep, I completely agree with you. No, I love it. Sam Buffington in the chat, Ryan. First of all, he says, hey, I got the notification this time. That's great. Sam didn't get the notification for Gem State game day last night, which was, I'm glad he found it because of your hard work there, Ryan. Sam also says, from all the years I've been at the boys basketball state championships, there's more fans than there are at the girls state championships. That's what he's hearing every year. And we see it.
It's an easier travel because girls is over. Like, you're not splitting time between the district tournament and the state tournament that are running concurrently.
Yep. And one last point, and then we'll wrap up. You mentioned that the hotel costs are exorbitant, right? Just out of control. This, by splitting it up and having it in different cities around the state, which is, by the way, everyone says, oh, it's impossible to do. They used to do that. I went back in the archives and looked in the early 2000s, and I'm sure back into the 90s. I haven't gotten that far back yet, but they had like tournaments in like Twin Falls and Wendell hosted a state tournament one year. So I like it, they've moved it around is what I'm saying. In Montana, because they have it split up amongst the various cities, they can they have a little power and a little control, and to the point where Bozeman, Montana is out of control right now. Bose Angeles is what they call it. Big influx of out-of-state people. Hotel rooms are going to average you about $300 a night. It's just insane. And so Montana stopped putting championship events and the state basketball tournaments in Bozeman. And they said, until you bring your prices down, we can't justify these expenses. And so after like 3 or 4 years of not having anything, Bozeman was like, finally, they went to their hotel providers and said, hey, you've got to come down on these prices a little bit. And so that gives you a little power as the IHSAA if the hotels are out of control.
Well, you beat capacity. I mean, it's the difference of selling 15 hotel room, or I would say 30 hotel rooms one night versus selling out. I mean, if you lower your price $50 a night, you could sell out and be at capacity. You're going to make way more money than you are if you're just going to operate with 30% capacity. So, yeah, I mean, you look at this too, and the other thing that you get involved with Chamber of Commerce, there's subsidies available to host at these sites. I know it because I've run huge tournaments before in the past in the wrestling side. There's money available for facilities or for hospitality stuff on the backside for officials and everything else. You can really make these things a sweet event if you get involved with the communities that would be hosting. There's grants available to make this thing be a slam dunk. I mean, pun intended. You could knock it out of the park. I mean, and you could look at Pocatello being able to host too at ISU. That's another venue that would be available. I mean, Twin Falls at the College of Southern Idaho is another venue that could host too. There's availability all over the place. There's no reason we can't do this. I don't get it, but that's just my soapbox moment. I would go to the IHSA and make this argument too and put together a business package if it was meaningful enough to a lot of people around the state. Like, this is something that, give it a 2-year trial, see what the numbers actually look like. And if it makes sense and if we're about saving money for these schools and travel, how they want to adjust how the play-in looks so you're not traveling as much in the district side, let's make it about money. Let's make it about saving money. But I digress.
Yeah, totally agree. And by rotating the sites, that ensures that, hey, once every 4 years, North Idaho gets to stay home for a particular classification.
Yeah.
Like, you could easily rotate.
I mean, facility-wise, it makes sense to leave them in Nampa. It's a bigger arena. It makes sense. You're going to have higher attendance because of the allotment of teams coming from the SIC. It just makes sense to leave that there. I'm okay with that. But if you look at Mountain America and the other venues that are out, you can rotate some of these other classifications. You really can.
Yep, totally agree. I mean, Sam says no disrespect to the girls at all, but that's how it is in terms of attendance. And part of it is because people, if I'm having to choose, I can make one trip to Boise. It's like a family vacation. Because people got to take time off work too for this, right? If I can make one trip to Boise, I'm waiting for the one that's last, and that's the boys. So it is. I mean, I just think back to last year's state basketball championship on the girls' side. It was Coeur d'Alene and Lake City, epic battle, and the arena was empty. I mean, there were the diehards there. There were more people, I'm sure, to go watch Lake City, Coeur d'Alene in the regular season, or the boys that were playing at districts. So,
and that's sad because, those kids deserve to play in a full arena. They do. And, how cool would it be to have a 6 p.m. girls state championship tip followed by a 7:15 boys state championship tip, in the 6As like that? You're going to have a full arena. The people that are there, the butts are going to stay in the seats. They really will. And, we're the North Idaho Prepcast. I understand we're going to change everything Prepcast, but I would love to see a little bit more fluidity just to give this like a pilot couple years to see, because my wife and we were talking about girls and boys state this year. Which one does she want to travel to? If she wants to come down with me, if we're going to broadcast, that's a decision that we're already talking about last night, literally after after the Gem State game day ended. That was a conversation that we had. It was like, if Abby and Owen want to come watch state and join me for the broadcast and stuff like that and watch some games, which one are they going to choose? And so, like for our family, I don't even have a kid in the game. But I can't imagine the expense when you're like aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, and brothers and sisters and families. I mean, it's like going on a cruise. I mean, for some of the expense for these families, it really is.
Yeah. And a lot of time on the road, and yeah, just not ideal. So, okay. Well, that's our annual stop down on.
But now I'm off my soapbox. There we go. So
yeah, no, I like it.
We talk football.
I think the podcast title is going to be, we're going to change everything. That's what we're going to call it.
The state of Ryan. Yeah. Which anyways, but yeah.
Yes. Football. Hey, everything that needs to be said about the football semifinals, we said last night, Ryan, on Gem State Game Day on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X account. It is our standalone football show. The two of us and Lucas Gebhardt from the Treasure Valley, we went through every semifinal matchup with a fine-tooth comb. So if you want that good nuts and bolts X's and O's, I'm going to direct you there. It's Gem State Game Day. You can find it on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, or X account on replay. I will just ask you one simple question before we wrap up here. The teams that are still left from North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, they're going to host Eagle Friday night, 7 o'clock. Lakeland is still in it at the 5A level. They've got to go to Hillcrest, actually outside, not in the dome, at Hillcrest's new field, 7 o'clock Friday night. And then we have
it's gonna be on IdahoSports.com video. Like,
yes,
I'm stoked about that. Yes,
all of these games are going to be on IdahoSports.com, but the only video broadcast we are bringing you this weekend is Lakeland at Hillcrest. That is going to be a fantastic broadcast. We're putting our very best people there. We're going to have multiple camera angles to shoot the action. It's going to be like you're watching a game on TV. It's going to be really fun. So yes, very excited for that. So any folks from Rathdrum that can't make the trip down, you can tune in on IdahoSports.com. And then we have basically our two teams in the 8-man ranks from North Idaho, Logos and Kendrick, and they are duking it out in a state semifinal Friday night, 6 o'clock at the old Bengal Field in Lewiston on the grass. Should be an interesting battle. So we know one team is at least going to get to the championship, right? Whoever wins between Kendrick and Logos. I'm going to ask you for your official prediction when we're back here this time next week. How many North Idaho teams are still playing? Could be as many as 3, could be as few as 1. What do you think?
I'm going 3. I'm going to stick with my picks from last night. So I'm going to take Coeur d'Alene over Eagle. They're going to host the 6A championship in the Kiwi Dome next week. I went ahead and looked. The rotation works out no matter how things shake out. Coeur d'Alene would host in the Kiwi Dome whoever they play, whether it's Rigby or Rocky. So that's a for sure. I'm sure we could have a game next week if Coeur d'Alene wins. And then you look at Lakeland, I have a hard time picking against. You get a good offensive line. This is a great offensive line. I talked about it at length last night. The more I watch them on film, the more I look, and I'm like, man, they are absolutely maulers up front. They play efficient. Hayden Benson at quarterback is shifty, elusive runner. You got Lovey Wow at running back. That defense you can hang your hat on, only giving up less than 11 points per game. Give me Lakeland in an upset over Hillcrest on the road on Friday night. And then you got Kendrick and Logos in what's going to be an epic battle in Lewiston. You'll have the call with that one, and you're going to have a dandy. Coach Craycraft from Logos was texting me after Gem State Game Day last night because I had to pick against him. And I'm like, I had to pick someone. It's like, pick your favorite kid. And I'm going to take Raleigh. I said Raleigh Rotsender is going to be the difference maker in that game. They're going to have an answer for him. They had an answer for Sawyer last time they played. I think Raleigh could be a difference maker for Kendrick in that game. They got some extra weapons. They got guys that are back and healthy. Carson Hogan's back. I took Kendrick in that game in a quote-unquote upset. I think it's going to be a game for the ages. I mean, you could see 38-36 type of game. I mean, that's going to be a phenomenal ball game at the old Bengal Field, in the grass, in November, sloppy field. It's going to be fun. You're going to have a great ball game there, Brandon, and those are my picks.
Okay, you're taking 3. I'm taking 2. I've got Coeur d'Alene advancing. I have Logos beating Kendrick. I'm going to show up Friday, and they're gonna ask for this back because I picked Logos. And I just think Hillcrest is a very good team. Lakeland fans, I would love to be wrong, and I'll come back next week and wear it if they go down and vanquish Hillcrest on the road. But I've got 2 teams. Sean Kane from the East Idaho Prepcast, predictably one. He's got the one that's guaranteed to go between Kendrick and Logos. So we'll see.
If that's the result, I don't want to say what it was. There's the teams that are left are so good. I could be dead wrong, and it still logically makes sense. I think it's going to be great games. The Eagle Coeur d'Alene game is going to be a phenomenal game, and I'm not going to poo-poo on Eagle. They got a great team. Their running back's dynamic. Their quarterback is a dual threat. He's a stud. They got defensive playmakers on the back end. I don't know if you're going to see Caden Simmons throw for 400 yards like he did on Friday against Middleton, but it's going to be a great ball game. That Coeur d'Alene defense is fun to watch, folks. If you can't make it to the game Friday night, tune in. We'll have the broadcast on Idaho Sports, but that's going to be a dandy. I mean, every one of these semifinal games, you look at it from 6 to 1A. Holy cow! There is not going to be a turd of a game, I think, in any classification.
Yep, it's going to be a really fun weekend of semifinal games. All of them are going to be on IdahoSports.com. Sean, last night we didn't have Sean on Gem State Game Day. He's been probably our most verbose panelist on Gem State Game Day because so many teams from East Idaho just keep winning and advancing.
We know he loves to talk. He can't take over our show too.
Well, he literally just put one, and then he said, "You said I talked too much, so I was shortening my comments." All right. The rivalry continues between North Idaho and East Idaho. So good luck to all the teams that are competing this weekend. Good luck to all of our girls basketball teams that tip off their season. Seriously. We will start diving more into hoops once football is all finished up, but it's going to be a lot of fun here as we get closer to Thanksgiving and into December. And oh my gosh, where did the year go?
Yeah.
Thank you for
those
tuning.
Tournaments are going to kick off, and there's going to be some good opening season tournaments, and I'm excited for hoops and wrestling too. There's going to be the wrestling in North Idaho is going to be great this year too.
Yeah.
Matt Chat's going to be off the chain this winter, so I'm excited for that when that kicks back up. But good luck to everybody this weekend in North Idaho, and travel safe if you're out there heading east or you're heading to Lewiston or to Coeur d'Alene. We just wish safe travels to everyone. And enjoy the games Friday night.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for tuning in to the North Idaho Prepcast, everybody. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney, and we will see you next time on IdahoSports.com.